As you can tell, I'm running a little late today. It's kind of nighttime when I'm doing this one. But I'm going to go ahead and get to work here because I'd like this mechanical fuel pump to work. Right now, I know it doesn't because the fuel line's not even hooked to it. I hope it works, but we're going to find out. Like I said, we're working on the Chieftain again, of course. Part of the series. This is going to be the fuel pump series. We're going to see if we can pull this out and rebuild it. Now, I don't have a kit, so I'm going to be rebuilding it with whatever I can come up with for diaphragms. I hope that works. It may not work, but you're going to find out with me. So let's go ahead and get the thing pulled out. This is actually a combination fuel pump vacuum pump. Is what they call this thing. It's got vacuum lines going in and fuel lines going in and fuel lines coming out. Obviously coming out, I mean. So, I'm not 100% sure. I've never worked on one of these. I've done a fuel pump, rebuilt a fuel pump, but one thing I have figured out, I am going to get this out of the way. This is a vacuum line here. I know. The vacuum lines in this one are steel. Don't get any other leaks on steel. See if I can get this other vacuum line loose down here. Now I sprayed everything with Freon, so these bolts are pretty loose. They're pretty easy. To be honest, this engine doesn't seem to leak oil anywhere, so. Okay. There's not a lot of room to turn this. I'm living my life an 8th turn at a time right now. That's not good. It'll be off in a minute. Aha, finger tight. Alright, that's loose. I don't have to get fuel lines off, so lines are off. Now I just have to get these bolts. One's here and one's down there that I can't even see. Okay. Hoping I'm getting a good picture for you over here. Okay. That was suspiciously loose. Considering I'm using a shorty, I didn't even have to put any effort into it. Makes me a little concerned. Come on. How long is this bolt? I don't know if you can hear that, but our dogs think they found something serious. They're trying to make the coyotes realize that they're big, scary dogs. Alright, we'll move this light around. Maybe you can see me get to this little bolt right here. Right down here is where the fuel goes both ways. I'm not sure which one's which. Well, we'll figure that out. Yep, I can hear the coyotes now. And I'm only assuming this is bad. I don't really hear that pumping like I would expect, but it's not seized up, so I guess we're headed to the bench and we're going to start taking it apart and finding out what's actually wrong with it. Hoping not much. Well, it's a new night. I ran out of time last night, but I'm back to working at night again. So we're going to see what we can do here. This suspiciously doesn't look like it has a lot of wear, so, but it wasn't hooked up, so we're going to have to definitely take it apart and find out what's going on. This is the one I took off the car. I don't think it's actually the original. I think this is the original. This glass bowl here is kind of neat. It is pretty tightly seized up though, so if I was going to fix this one, it might be a lot of work. So it may be parts, but it's kind of a last resort. So we'll see. Because the base and stuff does look different. Yeah, that's definitely different. I'm not sure. That may be a later model. I'm not sure. Let's see if we can take this bottom off here and find out. And just like the other bolts in this particular part, they're suspiciously loose. But I am kind of thrashing. You notice I am working at night. Kind of thrashing a little bit because we got 2 weeks to a car show. And I don't expect to drive this to the car show, but I would kind of like to drive it off the trailer. But that means I've got to get fuel pump, carb, alternator set up, and fuel system because I got to put a boat tank in the trunk, run some hose, and I got to do the brakes because the brakes just go to the floor. And coming off the trailer, I kind of like to stop. It's a lot less exciting. Well, so far it appears to be good news, as there is nothing wrong with that. That diaphragm is just as pretty as it can be. I have no idea why this wasn't hooked up. Let's see here what's inside this. There's a secondary diaphragm set up over here. It's a 7/16. Yep. Alright. I know it's an S wrench. I don't need it for this, but we're going to use it anyway. That's not gasoline. It's got a little sediment in it. I think somebody has rebuilt this thing. Why they didn't hook it back up, I don't know. This actually seems to be completely rebuilt. I may just clean this up. I'm back again. Been another day or two. I know I'm supposed to be thrashing and getting this ready for a car show, but yeah, sometimes work gets in the way. But I've done some research in the shop manual and found out, once again, brand new parts, kind of like my other stuff I found in this car, like the carburetor and stuff, but not assembled right. Kind of like it wasn't assembled right on the spark plugs. So I have figured out, because this is supposed to be fully functional here. There's little hooks in here this is supposed to go on. That appears, you see that? That appears to be working. What I need to do is get this to go in there and work. Brought in reinforcements. Turns out I did know what I was doing. The manual confirms I know what I'm doing. I just don't have the ability to do it. So, we're going to see if Sarah does.
Well,
it's her car.
He's going to tell me how, because I don't know what I'm doing.
You peek through this micro-sized hole and hook up this hook into this. All there is to it. The manual said it's easy. You just stick this in and just hook it to it. Just peek through this hole. So you hold this down like this, fuel side down, this sticks up in here, you peek down through here and you put the hook on. They made it sound really easy in that red book right over there.
Because otherwise, what's your other option?
I'm going to open it up and we'll
No,
JB weld it back.
He's not allowed to do that. Not in my car. So we're going to figure it out somehow.
This will definitely open it up.
Yeah, he's been getting to do a lot of work on it while I've been at work. So our schedules don't always match.
Day jobs aren't fun.
And then I work EMS, so I have 24 or 48-hour shifts. And that's where I was yesterday. So, alright, so what do I hook?
The hook that's in there. It says you can just look down there and see it.
Okay, well, let me see if
I can't look down there and see it. Oh, now I can't see much of anything. That was bright. I found a good picture.
Oh, okay.
I found a good...
So that helps.
Okay.
Sort of.
So this one, see there's two rocker arms. You'll make sure to put this up on the screen too. I didn't know this picture was in here. This is on a totally different different pages than the actual rebuild of this. This would have been helpful. Sort of. Did you get it? You got it. You got it.
I think so. Let me investigate just a little bit further.
The fact that it's not coming out pretty much means you got it.
I don't feel like it's...
It won't. We'll know in a second. Let's put the... Oh yeah, you got that. You have to have that.
I just don't feel like it's on there very good.
You got it.
Okay.
You can see right down there. You got that thing right in there. She did it.
Okay.
Now, before we lose it...
Can you, turn that thing so...
Off? Maybe?
Yeah.
Off would be good. That thing's dangerous.
Contact lenses and glasses make you nauseous.
Okay, we gotta make sure we get these.
So this was like a whole kit where you bought new stuff, or was this just taking the fuel pump that was in there apart and cleaning it up?
Well, somebody bought a kit. They don't make a kit anymore.
But they didn't have it hooked up right.
They didn't get that little part that you just did. They didn't have it either. That's why the fuel pump wasn't working right. Because you could push this all day and you never heard pumping.
Oh, okay.
You'll hear what I'm talking about in just a second. Okay. Now then, we're getting to this point. everything works right. Okay, now well, I have this pushed in. I need you to tighten those. Because it said to fully depress it. And this hurts, so. Please hurry. Please hurry. Go across, go across.
Because you want them to, you don't want them to become unbalanced.
Yeah, because I don't want to risk cracking any of this stuff. Because if you can't buy the kit, you know you're not going to be able to buy the pump. Well, actually, I did find a place you can buy the pump, but I don't want to spend $400 buying the pump. And the manual says you have to do this or it makes the fuel pressure way too high. You have to hold this in while somebody tightens them. Now I'm seeing why they said clamp it, but I couldn't think of a good way to clamp it. Okay, I think you're there. Now, make sure everything's snugged up. Steal this. A little hot out here. We're hitting October and we're back to summer.
That's what it's like in southeast Oklahoma. We don't really have a wintertime hardly.
Apparently we're skipping fall too.
Was it last year we did have some ice here in Oklahoma and Texas, and
it's just the state down. 2 years ago we had the storm that basically broke Texas.
And so it's dry here, but yet as a few years ago we had such flooding that several of our dams flooded over.
But that's only in the spring.
I had to get to a patient's house by riding on a John Deere tractor with a cab.
Yeah. We flood in the spring. We maintain 85% humidity, but we don't rain for about 6 months. Nice. All right, now if everything works right, we should hear a lung pump sound here. Okay. Everybody hear the fuel pump? I didn't do that before. Now, vacuum pump time.
So
this, you just can put in here like this. And if you do it all correct.
because that one kind of had like a looked like a lobster claw on the inside of it, so it was more of a snap than trying to hook it.
Yeah, you kind of fiddle with it here. You can get it in place. What we got to do is we put this one on, and I raise this up to where this is just flat, not fully extended. Because if I put my thumb there, it should be about like that. And they say that's how that's supposed to be. And we can do that with just a couple screws. Because there's not a lot. Alright, here's the big question. Yeah, it gets really hard with that spring. But did you hear the extra pump?
Yep, sounds like a duck.
Uh-huh. It did not do that before. You could press all you wanted and it didn't even make any sound before. Okay. Now then, I'm going to show her something I need some arts and crafts on. It's the one gasket that's not new in this thing. I'm going to need a little arts and crafts, but I got some cork material at the house. I think we can make this. Because that, I don't know if it's just gotten old, but I don't trust that gasket. Do you? See the,
no, it's got a warp.
Yeah, that deformation in the side, and it is crispy.
Yeah, it's
These other ones, pliable, is brand new. This, you could crack this rubber gasket, and that's not what you want in a rubber gasket.
Yeah, it's kind of gritty too.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can see it, but there's a
right here
flat side right there, and it's kind of warped.
I don't think it'll hold gasoline reliably. Of course, I'm still trying to figure out whether this even has a gasket on it at the bottom. Well, we're going to go have her cut out a nice little circle and a piece of cork.
So I'm going to take this with me too.
Because let's just say if I cut it out, she won't be happy with the cork hanging off the sides and stuff.
I don't want it to leak, okay?
I was going to put enough material on there it won't leak. Probably. It's just gasoline. Alright, well, we'll be back in a minute to wrap this up, guys. All we could find at the parts store was that little O-ring. Because we wanted to replace this plastic washer on this boat because it's kind of crispy. But we're going to go with what we got. Now, Sarah, on the other hand, this looks like something you have found in the package.
I just essentially traced it and cut it out with an X-Acto knife.
Yeah, that's more than I can do. I would have used a hammer and tapped this down.
Not that hard.
I would have tapped this down with a hammer, then do a little bit of hammer work to hammer form, I guess.
So do we need to put any sealant with that, like
Nope.
RTV or?
Not on gas.
Okay. And then, so we're putting this O-ring on top of this dried out gasket, hoping that that'll keep it from leaking, but at least we know where to look.
If we see gas dripping, we know where it's dripping from.
I can get it straight. So does a fuel filter have any adjustments like a carburetor does? No?
What do you mean filter? A pump?
Fuel pump. Yeah, fuel pump.
Nope, it just pumps.
Okay.
And you don't want to pump too strong, which is why we had to follow those instructions about how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it said if you didn't, that press in thing I did, if you don't do that, apparently it pumps too strong.
Ah, okay. And so you end up flooding your vehicle.
Yeah, you blow through your needle and seat up here in your float. Okay. Well, guys, I didn't really get to show you rebuilding it because most of the parts were brand new. But you got to see what we did to make it work, so. Well.
All right. Till next time. Thank you for joining us on Rusty Adventures. I think the next project we're gonna do a couple more things. We gotta be able to stop. So we're pretty sure that the brakes may be a little rusty.
Yeah. Well, the master cylinder goes all the way. The brake pedal goes to the floor, so the master cylinder is going to have a little work.
And we're gonna pull off all the wheels and check those out.
Now, one thing to remember: master cylinders on these are not on the firewall. They're under the car.
Nice.
Which means if it's been pushed to the floor for a long time, there's likely been moisture up in there. Which means it's going to be rusty.
But so far, we've been pretty impressed about the condition of the car. We feel like possibly that the person who owned the car, whether it was the old man or someone else that had bought it, was attempting to rebuild it, but didn't quite have the physical abilities or know-how because the carburetor and the fuel pump was in really good condition.
Mm-hmm.
So again, we'll see you next time. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for watching.
Hit a like and subscribe. Thank you.